the late, most high, most mighty, and most excellent monarch, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of her other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith, and sovereign of the most noble Order of the Garter.
Did you know that at the time of her death, Queen Elizabeth II was a ruler of not only the UK, but also more 14 countries? She was also the head of 10 of other countries, once under the British rule and currently referred to as former British colonies, plus 4 more countries that were never colonized by Britain. All of these countries are part of a larger organization known as the Commonwealth of Nations, which was also headed by the Queen. But when the Queen departed this life, her son Charles III took over. As the new monarch, Charles became head of the Commonwealth, or the Commonwealth of Nations, which is the same association of 56 quote-unquote independent countries, and also 3 billion people. Yet, in all 14 of these countries, as well as the UK, Charles III is the king and head of state. Many questions arise from all this. For example, what was the British Empire and what happened to it? What is the Commonwealth and how does one person bear so much power over a vast territory? Let's get some answers when a singer unfolds. There might not be a clear date attached to when the British Empire started and ended. The one thing we can be sure about though is that the British Empire was established during Queen Elizabeth I's reign, which started in 1558 at the time of a political crisis. This would then put the British Empire's beginning in the late 1500s. The expansive empire was a composition of colonies, protectorates, mandates, the dominions, and many more territories under the United Kingdom's rule or administration. By the early 1900s, the empire had grown to rule over 458 million people, all covering around a quarter of the Earth's land surface, making it the largest empire in human history. But how did Britain successfully manage to establish such a vast empire? You see, being the world's first industrial nation helped on the country's initial manufacturing, which saw a rise during the cotton trade. England, in what is now Britain, would therefore be able to set up a formidable navy and merchant fleet, earning the empire much respect and more geopolitical power. With such achievements, the empire enabled England to acquire more lands overseas, where it could later build new settlements. From these newly established communities or colonies, England would take valuable materials such as metals, minerals, crop yields, and people, which they could use or sell to other countries. Given the country's comparatively small size, England managed to create one of the world's largest colonial successful empires in history. But during the following years, the biggest empire would start seeing signs of its collapse. Actively participating in both the First and the Second World War massively drained the country, mainly financially and militarily. This resulted in colonial control failures, and so several communities seized the opportunity of departing from the empire to become independent states. As liberation ideas continued spreading rapidly within colonies, rebellions and revolts broke out at a time when England's enforcement resources were depleting. To most historians, there are 2 events that significantly led to the end of the British Empire. That is to say, the 1947 independence of India and the abolition of the British rule in Hong Kong during 1997. It would seem like England had already anticipated the result of all the uprisings amongst its colonies, and they probably knew all along that one day an end to their colonial ways would cease to exist. So a plan to keep its grip on almost each and every one of the empire's former colonies was put into plans, and during the Imperial Conference of 1926, the British Commonwealth of Nations was formed. This was more of an agreement between Britain and the Dominions that they were all equal members of the community, meaning the British Empire, and that they all owed allegiance to the British Queen or King, but not being under the United Kingdom's rule or administration. The Imperial Conference was a success as it binded 7 countries or dominions to the United Kingdom. For example, Australia, Canada, India, Newfoundland, Irish Free State, New Zealand, and South Africa. But for a country that once controlled the boundless landscapes, the British Commonwealth of Nations was still little, with only a handful of states. At that moment, this is what most people thought England had become: a continuously losing country, but how wrong they were. The truth is, England was only transitioning from being a more visible and vicious colonial power to a benevolent and democratic associate. This means that the British Commonwealth of Nations was just a beginning of a rebranded, then collapsing British Empire. And in early December 1931, the Commonwealth of Nations was officially founded by the vanishing British Empire and the United Kingdom Parliament as a political association. Later in 1949, the Commonwealth of Nations extended its formation as an evolutionary outgrowth of the British Empire by maintaining an association between countries that had once been territories of the British Empire. As of today, the political organization has 56 member states, all working together towards shared goals of peace, prosperity, and democracy. This political organization has been growing throughout the years by extending its borders and multiplying its population. In recent years, there are 56 member states, most of which are former colonies, protectorates, dominions, and a few countries that have no historical ties to the British Empire. For example, republics of Mozambique, which joined the association in 1959, Rwanda, which joined in 2009, Gabon and Togo, both joining in 2022. As the association continues to grow, their mandate seems to differ from that of the British Empire. The UK's Commonwealth carries on to serve the needs of its member governments and their citizens in economic, social, and political development, as a way to keep providing a forum for deliberation, problem-solving, consensus decision-making, and action to matters of importance to its membership. I would love to know your opinion about that freedom and equality, so if you have any, please leave it in the comment section below the like button. There is actually more to this long story, and we may revisit it in the future, but this will be it for now. The United Kingdom losing its territories and pipelining a comeback is a story of colonial termination and disguise, according to many, but we shall give them a break now that they are dealing with a raft of challenges following the country's departure from the European Union. Watch this next video to understand how Brexit affects the UK, and thank you for sticking around. Feel comfortable dropping a comment, a like, or a sub to the channel. See you soon.